So today we are going to discuss about this GMO, that is a genetically modified organism. Last class we have discussed about synthetic biology, uh, which is nothing but different types of uh, modified organism, and so last class we have discussed about the synthetic biology, and today we are going to discuss the uh, GMO, which is nothing but genetically modified organism. Let me share my screen now. Okay, is it visible?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so synthetically modified organism, or commonly known as genetically modified organisms. This is actually part of the synthetic biology, and the last class we have discussed about synthetic biology. That means for our purpose, intentionally we are modified or we are synthesized different kinds of organisms actually really which are does not exist in our biosphere. So this synthetic biology, this GMO are the product of the synthetic biology, we can say. So here see here one example is, for example, a crop which is a tomato here. So tomato normally what happen, it produce the tomato and up to the lifetime of the tomato, that means it shelf life of a tomato is maximum 15 days or 10 days without preservative. 5 days to 10 days normally it does not rotten, and it can be easily stored in your kitchen. But you can see hybrid tomato are coming in nowadays, that are nothing but this genetically modified organisms that can you can keep without freeze, without any refrigerant or if, this preservative. 1 month or 2 months also the tomato cannot be rotten. So this is the new idea, this is the new things. That means we are modified the gene which is the mostly responsible for the rotten or disposing or decomposition of the tomato. So keeping the fresh is also responsible for the one gene. So this kind of modification we can do in genetically, and these are mostly useful, very much useful for our new generations plants and for production of food or different types of activities. So whenever we modified this organism genetically and we are going to use of that, that is called GMO. Obviously there is some side effect are there, obviously there is some benefits are there. Everywhere you can go, advantages, disadvantages there. So keeping the mind for the advantages, we are utilizing this synthetic biology for the production of GMO, which is called genetically modified organisms. Let's see. So genetic modification actually the process of altering the properties of cell in an organism by changing the genetic makeup of the DNA in the nucleus of the cell. Genetically changing, that means genetically we are modifying the nucleotides, that is in the DNA, RNA. Different chromosomes are there in DNA, RNA. So some of them responsible for some of the behaviors or properties. So according to our needs, we are modification done in the field of this DNA and RNA level, in chromosome level, and in gene level. So this can include deleting or changing of gene or transforming of gene. So modification, that means you can add something, you can delete something, or you can transform one form to another form. So there are different types of modification are done according to our need. So when organisms had these changes, which what is the changes? Either addition, either deletion, either transformation. If these things can be changed, then this organism which genes are doing this kind of things, that are called genetically modified organisms, and the DNA are called DNA fragments, which are mostly responsible for the different properties of the chromosome. So this is done by this genetic engineering, or these peoples who are mostly working are combinations of both. computational biology, and genetic engineering, obviously, and bioinformatics. These all peoples are working together to produce this kind of thing. So we are utilizing, or we are improving these things, different bacteria, yeast, plant, fish, mammals, everything, every organisms which may be modified, that is called GMO. Let's see the history. The first GMO were created in 1971 in a bacteria, where bacteria are modified. Modified, that means the bacteria, what should be modified? Creation of this modified bacteria is when the bacteria is mostly causing some disease in some animals or mammals. So we are doing in modified in gene levels, they are do the least harm to the its host. So this type of bacteria are modified, then this bacteria cannot be harmed most more to the different host. So creation of the first recombinant DNA molecules by Paul Berg 1972. Insulin producing bacteria were commercialized in 1982. You all know insulin is the mostly uh, given to the sugar patient or the diabetic patient, which is by deficiency of insulin, the diabetes is disease is mostly common nowadays. So this insulin is secreted by some glands of our human body. So normally these are found very rare, naturally secreting this insulin, naturally product insulin. So nowadays we are synthesize this insulin by this GMO application of this genetically modified organism, and we can commercially produce large number of insulin, and that can be utilized for the beneficial of mankind. That is synthetically we produce this due to the greater demand of this insulin nowadays, and which has become commercialized in 1982. So it is so much previously this GMO and this synthetic biology is not new things. Nowadays, from 1970, the last 30, 60 years, we can utilizing these things. Construction of GMO, there are different steps up there. That is also molecular cloning modified. I do not go in details of this biology parts. So our main purpose is to learn about the synthetic biology and GMO for the uh, production of our most energy efficient organisms, energy efficient things, or for the sustainable green energy productions. So some bacteria and some organisms we are modified these things to in order to re, uh, meet the demands of our growing energy needs. So examples of some GMOs in 1994, Flap Saver tomato was introduced as the first genetically modified food, and this is I already explained. Then golden rice, enriched rice containing beta carotene, vitamin A. This is also second type of modified or GMO organisms. Then BT corn, that is corn containing chemical normally found in bacteria Bacillus thuringiensis. So these are the different GMO are there. Herbicide resistance plants, Roundup Ready corn. That means Roundup Ready means Roundup is some chemical substance which can be given to kill weeds. This is a chemical. So Roundup Ready corn means we do not utilize this Roundup, this chemical herbicides, but we can modify or we can inserted the properties of this Roundup in the gene of this some plants, so that can be act that can be kill the herbicides, act as herbicides. So these are the different GMO. Then types of genetically modified organisms, GMO, genetically modified plants are there, genetically modified animals are there, and genetically modified microbes are there. So we are succeeding in all these three cases. The most examples of genetically modified plants, can you say? One is the already said that this tomato and the BT corn. These are the GMO examples, and these brinjals, eggplant. Nowadays, different variety of different food products or vegetables they can be grown by this GMO. So our main aim is to increase the productivity and also disease resistant variety and longevity of this food. Genetically modified animals, all who are uh, eaten this fish and the meat, being a non-vegetarian, all these poultry, chicken, fishes nowadays commercially all are genetically modified. So in order to increase the food production or meat production, we are given or we are modified these organisms in order to meet the demands, mostly energy demands. And genetically modified microbes, the most examples is this bacteria which can generate insulin, or some types of microbes which can be easily utilized in our different products. For example, for making curd from the this milk, we are utilizing lactobacillus bacteria, or for making bread from the wheat, we are utilizing yeast. So these things are nowadays synthesized in the lab in large scale with some advantages, and in the mainly the good properties of these all microbes, keeping these good properties. So these are common nowadays, these GMO are genetically modified plants. Plants generally modified into herbicide resistance, pesticide resistance, insect resistance, drought tolerant, extreme temperature tolerant, have added nutrients such as vitamin and minerals. In order to achieve these good properties, we are modified these genetically modified plants. We are increasing these properties: herbicide resistance, pesticide resistance, insecticide resistance, all these things. Drought resistance means if you are water scarcity also they can survive. Extreme temperature tolerant, they have been performance in high temperature. Now it is climate change is common, and you look the global temperature increasing day by day. So in order to cope with this environment also, these are very much useful to production of the food and plants, and also nutrient minerals which are deficit in this type of organisms, so we can add it synthetically. We can make some changes in chromosome of nucleic acids of this DNA RNA, which can be mostly responsible these varieties of these properties. Herbicide resistance, I already explained. The Roundup is a common herbicide manufactured by Monsanto that is harmful to weeds and plants. It is mostly uh, this Roundup is utilized for killing the weeds in some vegetables, because weeds are very much grown, then the growth of the mainly plants are hindered. So this kind of things. So Roundup, in place of giving the Roundup or spraying the herbicides, we are making some changes in gene. For a reason, Monsanto develop a line of Roundup ready crops that resistance the herbicides by inserting gene 5 in chlorpyrifos. This is one type of gene, that is called EPSP. This particular gene can be inserted in the particular type of plants, and which can be kill the herbicide herbs. Insectic resistance, corn, cotton, and several other plants have been genetically modified into insect resistance. That means there are a large number of insects are nowadays, these are keeping harm to our these different plants. So we can changes in gene level, that is insect resistance in crop accompanies by identifying isolating the gene of the soil bacterium bacillus thuringiensis that produce a toxin called cry, that is a toxic to plant insect. That means this is one example. This bacteria, we are modified the gene, and which can produce a chemical when insects are coming to these plants. Then we these chemicals name is called cry, that can defeat these insects. So they can, the insects which are repelled by these chemicals. This is natural process that can be automatically generated when the insects are come to the plant. So this type of modification can be takes place by GMO, synthetic biology, and these plants are called genetically modified plant. Again, another example is this rice. GM plants with added nutrient and rice. Rice has genetically modified into improved source of vitamin A. Biosynthesis of beta carotene. Rice was accompanied by the inserting phytochrome synthase PSY gene from daffodil and phytochrome diffusase the TRL gene from the bacteria Eruarina introverto rice DNA. These are examples. You do not to remember all these things, but just remember one examples. that is the that is called vitamin A enriched rice and these things. So these kind of examples, and this is called golden rice because the beta carotene, which is mostly a one source of vitamin A, which can be you very much good for the intake of humans being. So this is, that's why it is called golden rice, not for the color gold, because of this vitamin A enriched rice. Then plant with added nutrient, that is strawberries. Strawberries also we can modify the GMO are there. This is another example. Strawberries, which are good source of vitamin C, has been genetically modified to provide three times such as vitamin C. Vitamin C, strawberry are the source of C, and another uh, vitamin C and which is orange or lemon. So lemon and orange, they have are the good source of vitamin C, but in case of strawberry, we are modified the gene to also increase the vitamin C. So gene which in the strawberry plant called GALUR, gene code for an enzyme that converts protein into plant vitamin C. So this is the examples, and a similar gene is found in the Thalicris and Arabidopsis thalina. This is another example. Researchers also created a DNA plasmid using a thalina genes and the bacteria Agrobacterium and inserted into strawberry plant and overexpresses GLUR gene and produce three times such as vitamin C. This is how this strawberry can be modified, but you do not remember all the things. So remember the strawberry which is GN modified to increase vitamin C, rice which is increased vitamin A, like that. These are the more examples of that is GMO plants. Currently, researchers are also working in the creating different types of perfection of this GMO. Actually, there along with the advantages of GMO, there are certain deficiency and certain disadvantages are also there. So, in order to improve the variety, we are continuously working on the field of synthetic biology. Drought resistance wheat, corn, and rice. Because nowadays, this actually what happens, this wheat, corn, and rice, it depends mostly a more water in their field. So if the water is scarcity, of course, then what happens, the production is decreases. So in order to avoid this kind of things, because we don't know where, cannot rely on the climate or the precipitation on rain. So what happened, we are developing the resistance, drought resistance or water resistance variety. Salt, they can also survive in low water level. Salt tolerant tomato. If the soil contain salt, then in that type of soil, tomato does not grow in this type of soil. But that also genetically modified in order to grow this tomato in salty soil. For frost resistant strawberries in close, actually strawberry are grown in cold climate, but not in extreme cold climate. So there are also different types of variety are developing. Heat tolerance beans and such as kidney red, black, and pinto beans. There are different types of beans, varieties beans are developed. Carrots that produce vaccines against hepatitis B. See this how this synthetic biology are going to develop different kinds of GMO which can be used in different uses. So you cannot imagine that hepatitis B vaccines can be developed from the carrot. One hepatitis B vaccines, that means hepatitis B is caused by the different types of viruses, and carrot is simply a vegetable. So this can be done with this GMO. Genetically modified animals. The other previous are the examples of some plants. Now see the animals. Genetically modified mammals such as infant category of genetically modified organisms. Raphael, Mr. and Richard Plummer developed some techniques responsible for transgenic mice, rat, different sheep and pigs early 1980. Because it starts in 1970-80, so early stage they are going to modify in different sheep, rat or the pigs. So now we are going to be also developed like poultry chicken which can grow within 1 month or within 2 months we can grow 3 to 5 kilo of, because it is produce meat. So these are the different variety we are going to develop. The FDA, Center for Veterinary Medicines, regulates generally alter animals products. So it is also very much dangerous to alter the gene level of animals because we don't know what's happened if the genes are modified. So that might be a risk associated with that. So there are some regulatory authority before prior to modify this type of animals. We have to so the laboratory they are working on the synthetic biology. They have to uh, give some approval from this that center veterinary medicines or their regulatory authorities are there, then they are working on that. Currently no transgenic animals have been approved for human consumption. Human consumptions, there is no any animals are approved. Transgenic animals have been approved for use of biofarm animals producing drugs and hormones and produce such different milk and wool. The high producing milk producing cow buffaloes are there, so meat are there. So these are the different drugs and hormones are also extracted from these different organisms. Benefit of transgenic animal. Transgenic. Transgenic means the gene level chromosome are altered. ATGC that can be altered to GCATG or some specific kinds of this haplotypes. These are attached with the particular chromosome that can be replaced by another types of. So these can be different types of transgenic. They are called transgenic animal or genetically modified animal. Also you can say production of animals with specific trait quicker than traditional breeding methods. That means they are easily grow with restrict environment and gives better performance, better quality of increased milk production, wool production in case of sheep, milk production in case of cow and buffalo, increased growth rate of efficient production of pharmaceuticals, nutrient supplements, hormones. We are utilizing this synthetic biology to modify different kinds of. You have heard this Jersey guy and different types of hybrid cow buffaloes are there. That are nothing but this GMO techniques or synthetic biology. Most pharmaceuticals products are meals of goat, cow, sheep included such as insulin, growth hormone, etc. This can be produced from this GMO. Experts estimate that producing therapeutic protein using traditional methods cost approximately 300 to $3,000 per gram. See how this GMO can be utilized in the production of this. In traditional method, which cost very much expensive to produce this thing. One thing is the expensive, as well as second thing is not non-availability of this thing traditional methods. So we are demand is more, so we are forced to produce this GMO which can be easily you can got these things. So in contrast, using a transgenic goat produce the protein milk cost 20 to $105 per gram. See how much difference. In traditional it can cost up to $3,000 per gram, but in GMO that is $105 per gram. So how see how much this cost can be reduced with this GMO techniques or synthetic biology techniques. So we are doing this. Transgenic has hen eggs even cheaper, costing $0.1 to 0.25 per protein. It means to produce large number of eggs with a low cost, we are also utilizing this GMO hens and broilers are for meat production. Another is bacteria, which are first organisms to be modified in the laboratory due to their simple genetics, and they are important producing large amount of pure human protein for use of medicines. Bacteria are very simplest organisms, so if the chromosome is simple, then we the modification process is also simple, and the chromosomes are complexity increases, then the GMO techniques also increases and complexity increases. So the bacteria which are produce different types of proteins which can be utilized for the different production of medicine. Genetically modified bacteria are also produce different protein like insulin to treat diabetes, as I said, insulin is produced by this bacteria or GMO bacteria, and they have to use to produce clotting factors of the treat hemophilia and human growth hormone with various form of doping. That means some hormones and some chemicals which are uh, used to clots of the blood of the thing, that is to hemophilia. Hemophilia is the disease which someone have hemophilia. That means if the clot is there, there is no flow, stopping of the flow of blood. So to treat this kind of diseases, this GMO are utilized to produce these chemicals and growth hormone. Like some peoples are increase want to increase the height, then this growth hormone can be produced from this GMO technique. See, this is a different process where genetically modified organisms are there, and these microorganisms categories are there. So we are applied this genetically synthetic biology in different protozoa, unicellular organisms, algae, molds, yeast, and also this cyanobacteria, prokaryotic cell, eubacteria, different types of viruses, bacteriophages, because these are the simplest form of the living organisms, animals, or which can be uh, easily modified their gene to utilize the process of the utilization of different process. Examples of this microbe as GMO, that is essentially model microorganisms are, for example, E. coli, E. coli for the, this is also known also the gram bacteria, and Lactobacillus lactis, that is safe gram bacteria, Bacillus stabilis, gram bacteria extractions, S. cerevisiae, yeast, Aspergillus species mold. These are the different bacteria which are going to be modified, the microorganism going to modified, that are ultimately called as genetically modified microbes or genetically modified microorganisms, which are going to or which are be utilized for the benefits of different human beings to produce different pharmaceuticals products, as well as different hormones and different proteins also. So these are examples, some examples of this genetically modified microbe. So utilization of this genetically modified where you can utilize this. Mostly we are targeting or utilizing this GMO in the form of pharmaceutical industry, naturally synthesized molecules at the microorganisms itself, and we can also utilize for the synthesizing of antibiotics and vaccines. Whenever you fell sick and some disease or it's caused, the doctor prescribes different vaccines and antibiotics to cure the disease. So these pills we are taking are the product of this GMO. Naturally synthesis with a gene genetic improvement takes place. For example, vitamin B12, that is also utilized, produced by this GMO. Molecule stemming from a clone gene, vaccine, hepatitis B, insulin, growth hormone. These are the different products which is produced from this modified organisms. Then second application is agri-food industry, because due to the more demand of this energy needs or food needs, in other words, food is nothing but a form of energy. So to keeping in the mind of increased populations, so high numbers of these proteins, carbohydrate or food can be required. So in order to meet the demand quickly and within the low time period, and main importantly for the low cost, with the low cost, as previously we have seen, for the same thing naturally processing is taking so much huge price, as well as genetically modified organisms gives less prices. So price is the very much important thing. So in the less time, less price, and quickly and meet the higher yield, going the meet the demand, the GMO are mostly useful. So see the different things. Enzymes, amino acids, organic acids are also produced by this GMO. Yeast, protease, amylase are these different kinds of amino acids are there. Protease, amylase, and renin. Different amino acids, organic acids are there which can be produced from the different GMO. Just uh, remember one examples where we can use different kinds of GMO for pharmaceutical industry. We are utilizing this for production of vitamin B12, vaccine, hepatitis B, insulin and growth hormone. And in agri and food industry, we are utilizing the GMO as a production of yeast, protease, amylase, resin, different amino acids, organic acid, etc. Then third utilization of the GMO are the chemical industry. So in chemical industry also, naturally synthesized molecules are replaced by the GMO and within short period of time. There's different enzymes, organic acids, biofuels, which are also produced by the GMO. See, we are already studied what is biofuel. Fuel. Do you remember that biofuel? That means the fuel which is produced by this utilization of the remaining or of the bio things or plant or animal residues are there. So the huge number of sugar canes, huge number of the straw which are left over after the production of rice and the sugar cane juice, all these things. So these things can be utilized to production of biofuel. Biofuels are again two types, different types. That is bioethanol, biogas. These the different types. Already we are already discussed these things. So in order to increase the biomass and which can be the main raw material for biofuel, this GMO techniques is utilized to increase the rate of production of this biofuel. Organic acids, biofuels are also increased by the GMO. Creation of superbug for the degrading xenobiotics. So these are the advanced techniques or advanced type of applications of this genetically modified organisms which can be degrade the xenobiotics and the creation of superbugs means they are modified these organisms or synthetically produce some organisms which are having the degradation power of the xenobiotics, degradation of the xenobiotics. So this is purely genetic engineering subject and we cannot go in details. This is the one example there. So see, different challenges are there. For example, we are for environmental challenges, possibility of unenumerated harm to other organisms. So this is the possibilities because we already having keeping in mind some advantages due to some advantages along with advantages some disadvantages also there. So these disadvantages we also keep in mind that the GMO while the production the process of the GMO we should not harm to the environment also and should not harm to the other animals or other plants or other surrounding these ecosystems. So this is also keep in mind we are going to produce this GMO. But there is risks, potential risks of harm to non-target organisms. If we are working in a particular targeting some organisms, but by mistakenly or uh, by side effect, they are also kill or harm to different other organisms. For example, a pest resistance crop that produce toxin that may be harm both crop and damaging the non-crop damaging insects. There are also good insect and bad insect, good organic microbes, bad microbes. But in our process of generating the GMO, we are creating some toxin producing variety which can be kill both good and bad bacteria, good and bad things, or that can be harm both itself as well as the weeds. So this is the different disadvantages may be called as potential risks associated with the GMO. The pollen of the this BT corn milkweed is through to effect the slow or kill the larva of the mammoth butterfly for the substitute of the underway. So this is another example. In before 10 years, there are so many butterflies are there, are roaming here and around there in environment. But nowadays, see the butterfly numbers you hardly see one or two in different pool, this flower garden. So the number of the butterfly is decreased. Why? Because of this type of genetically modified organisms. When we are to meet the energy production or meet the growing demand of the food, we are utilizing these BT or genetically modified organisms or vegetables or different plants. So due to this byproduct or due to the see, this genetically modified properties, they kill the larva of these butterflies. Because the butterfly if you remember the cycle of the butterfly, because it is having two different stages, larva stages and the butterfly stages. If the larva stages it will be killed, then where the butterfly will come? So this is the, if butterfly is not come nowadays, then what happen? The pollinations they'll also stop, and the production yield also ultimately hindered. So to decrease yield and production increase because the lack of the pollinations. So we have to do a manual pollinations like thing. So these are the different consequences of this GMO, genetic modified organisms. Second challenge is pesticides become less effective as the pest become resistant to modified crops, because we are utilizing pesticides to kill the pest. But if you are producing some GMO which itself produce some chemicals that can be kill pest, but the pest which are also resist this type of GMO, then in further stage if you are even giving this type of pesticides, the pest do not uh, defeats with the pesticides, killed by the pesticide, because they are having mutation in their gene itself that can resist these pesticides. The best example is we are utilizing this good night or coil in our home to in order to kill the mosquitoes. But nowadays the mosquitoes are they have developed themselves inside the genes. They are not affected by the good night or mosquito. They are not killed by this. So we are they are also developing some resistance capacity to the insecticides like that. So that is the challenges. So we have to also change the insecticides, the doses of insecticides. That also heavily affected the human health also. So different variety of strength of pesticide will needed once weeds are adopted existing effective pesticides. If firstly we are given 10 mg per ml, 10 mg per liter, then we are forced to utilize giving 50 mg per liter. So the doses of this pesticide to be effective is decreases. So we have to give more doses. So we are ultimately spraying more pesticides or utilizing more things that also harm to the environment, and also these food productions. And pesticides were foods, you have eat these kind of foods, then ultimately you are eating these chemicals. So these are the consequences. So challenges three. Third challenge is super weeds. Gene transfer of non-target species where herbicide tolerance plants crossbreed with the weed, potentially creating herbicide resistant weeds and produce super weeds. So after genetically modified the organisms, that can be disease resistance as well as weed resistance. So itself the mutations and this breed crossbreed takes place between the normal organisms and these genetically modified organisms or the GMO. Then the new variety of these crops or plants develop, which are called super weeds, and these cannot be killed by any other herbicides. So this population of these super weeds is which are ultimately suppress the food production of the normal vegetables. So once times they come, the whole land will be covered by the super weeds, and that cannot be removed anyway. So these are the main consequences. Some Western Canada farmers calling Monsto Roundup Ready Canola super weeds. So these are the examples of the super weeds. Canola, so that cannot be killed by this any of further applications of the herbicides. Next challenges is human health risks. If you are consuming these genetically modified organisms, ultimately we are degrading our health also, because we are altering gene level of these different organisms, and which are directly consuming ourselves. Then what happened? They are having some changes in their thing. Introducing a gene into plant may create a new allergen or allergic reaction with the susceptible individuals. That also requires, because there are some allergic things can maybe happens if you are eating some GMO plants. For example, inserting gene from the knot into another plant should be dangerous for people who are allergic to nuts. Like that, if you are allergic in knot, then if you are taking some property and inserting the property in another plant to modify this GMO, then what happen? Then they also they cannot be consumed due to this the GMO plant, because they have allergy to this. It's one example. So there are so many examples are there. Next challenges, economic hazards, elimination of competitions. So these are the very much serious challenges. These are also may call as disadvantages of the GMO. Economic hazards. Economic hazards means the economy or the richness of these farmers or these farms that are going to seriously affected, suddenly affected. So these are called economic hazards, sudden decreases of the finance due to this GMO, because GMO has developed different varieties. Either they are actually these are caused due to higher in case of higher production, we are utilizing this GMO variety, because GMO or genetically modified seeds we are utilizing, they are actually not fertile, they are sterile. Once they are grown and they are new seeds, they cannot develop new plant, new growth. So in for the next generations of the crop, you had forced to buy the genetic modifier organism from the seeds from the farms where they can supply. You cannot regrown the seeds that is coming from this GMO. So elimination of competitions. So competition is a natural processes, but we are eliminating the competition of the natural processes. So we are interfering the natural processes of the interfering the nature. So we are modified the natural processor gene from the natural processes. That is not good, and that also elimination of the competition takes place. Example, GM seeds are patented most by each year. I already said, because genetic modified seeds we once grown, then each year if you have to buy more, giving by giving more money, it's like a drugs. If you want to take some drugs helps or boost your power and help to visualize or help to a temporary grown or temporary increment of some things, but for a long term the drugs are very harmful. If you want consume the drug, then simultaneously for next year and for next upwards, you have to force to buy to and consume that drugs. Similar thing is like that. Then GMO are same kind of thing. This presents problems the poor farmer is the developing the world, because this more big company which are producing the GMO, they are first year they are giving low prices. After the some changes or after some years they are suddenly increasing the prices, because the farmers which are cannot produce the new variety or new offsprings or next generation with the seeds of this old GMO, and after 3 and 4 years they cannot restore their own traditional methods or traditional seeds, so they are forced to buy giving a higher prices from the company. Large companies like managed to have restored stunning small farmers around to be user without the paying. And obviously the farmers are small farmers who are low or financially weak, they are even in trouble. Suicide seeds. Plants with sterile seeds that are infertile are called suicide seeds. One generation is okay, but in next generation they cannot give fertile seeds. We are normally grown seeds after one generation, another generation from the seeds of the seeds of the seeds. But in GMO, this is not happened. Farmers are forced to buy seeds every year to having grow more increase for the productions. So, however, some companies have reduced the cost of GMO and improved the nations. Well, some government regulation authorities are there. They are helping the farmer in order to increase the productivity and helping the farmer. But this is a challenges. This is the financial economic hazards, because the poor farmer which are having less money, they are not going to buy the seeds every year, and the price is also so much high. Then, despite overall, we can say, despite all these great promises and genetic engineering, it also bring with the potential problem of the area of safety, human experience, and potential ecological dispersion and biological warfare. Obviously, these GMO are can be forced to use in a different and wrong way. That's called biological warfare. For example, say this coronaviruses. if some country which are develop some biological weapon or some new type of viruses or bacteria or diseases which are new to the world, then if some sort kind of things are also happen in case of war, they are spreading these diseases uh, over another country. So this is called biological warfare. So this is very much serious issue. Then can easily destroy the nations or the globes. Genetically engineered microbes are emerging at different vehicles to consume environmental pollutions, and it also spreads the environmental pollutions, and also this is threat to human safety and the potential to the nature, and this is the also great threat to the nature itself, because natural processes is obviously it is slow and less productive, but nature process is very much common processes, and that is safe thing. For we are for our more increase of the yield, we are having some changes in the gene level to producing this GMO to increase the needs of the demands of the energy needs, but there are some consequences, challenges are there. So despite all the things, we are utilizing this GMO in our different field, like pharmaceuticals, production of different uh, animals, plants, for the consumption of foods, or this variety of this insulin and these vaccines, vitamins. So these are a part of our nature nowadays. So this is all about the GMO, genetically modified organisms, and this is all about your unit 3, all that is for energy. Let's see what are the remaining in unit 3. So in your mid sem exam, which is scheduled for 16 April, unit 1 and unit 3, these two units you have to prepare. 30 MCQ are there. We already prepared the questions, and most of the questions are from unit 1 and unit 3. 15 questions from Pankaj sir, and 15 questions from unit 1, and 15 from unit 3. That is hydrogen energy, biomass biogas, synthetic biology, GMO, biohybrid system, sustainable fuel generation. This is another class 1 class we may be there. So GMO and synthetic biology both are interrelated. For these are mostly application for energy productions. We are utilizing this GMO in our processes there. Biohybrid system, sustainable fuel generation. This is all about these combinations of this both natural processes and our modified processes. That's called hybrid processes. So hybrid processes is there. This is another slide of GMO. GMO, which is what is GMO? These are different examples of the GMO, genetically modified organisms. We are already discussed about this tomato and the corn, and some people are protested to stop the GMO because due to the genetically modified, uh, or we are having some problems with this genetically organisms. Then man is also manipulating the DNA, RNA of the corn, tomato, all these things. So we are increasing for the production of yield. So have you ever seen the blue flowers or the cauliflowers. This is also genetically modified flowers. Artificial selection of this kind of things are also there, cauliflowers, all these things. So GMO is genetically modified organisms which genetic material has been altered by the genetic engineering and also called genetic modification and the manipulations of organic gene biotechnology. Already discussed these things. What is GMO? Transgenic and cisgenic and intrasgenic. We already discussed addition, deletion and alternation. These three categories are there. So transgenic means a gene is moved from one non-close related to species to another species. That means one species, one gene is extracted and that can be placed or moved to another species. This is called transgenic species. The properties which is mostly useful in one species that can be extracted and inserted in another species. Cisgenic and intragenic, that means gene is moved within the same species, is closely related. Close related species means if we are extracting some gene from monkey and which can be inserted in chimpanzee or human, that is closely related. That is called cisgenic, transgenic. Sorry, cisgenic or intragenic. And transgenic means if you are extracting some gene from a cow or gene from a pig or gene that can be inserted in the inserted in human or in a monkey, that is called transgenic. Means there is a huge and species difference is there. RNAi, the RNAi, that is a biological processes. So RNAi molecule inhibit gene expression, that is also you can study. Subgenic, a gene is edited or amplify, delete, insert, silence or progress the gene within a species. Some deletion, addition takes place, that is called subgenic. So that is three things happen: transgenic, cisgenic and subgenic. We do not go inside all these things, but just remember these things. These are already we are studying in the last slides examples of the GMO, that is a different common food production, energy productions and the environmental pharmaceutical application. We do not go in details. Then we already discussed these things: herbicide tolerance, crop applications, withstand the herbicide application, then insect tolerance, insecticide tolerance, improve nutritions, improve vitamin A, vitamin B12, vitamin C, already discussed all things. Disease resistance, crop resistance variety. If some diseases are attacked frequently, then the plant or animal which cannot be grow effectively and the production is stopped. If you are developing the variety which can resist the disease, so that is a huge advantages. So disease resistance variety are developed by the GMO. Stress tolerance, that is drought tolerance, and low nutrient and excess nutrient, or in case of any extreme conditions the plants may be survive or the species may be survive. There is stress tolerance. Increase storage capacity, crop can be stored longer, avoid the spoilage loss. I given a simple example of this hybrid or GMO tomato. If their shelf life is 5 to 10 days, but after modification of this GMO tomato, it can be self sustained with up to 30 to 60 days without rotten. So this is very advantageous. Then medicinal uses, in pharmaceutical uses to production vaccines and vitamins, proteins, all these things. Industrial uses, crops makes more efficient in industries. These are the different applications or different trades we can be utilized. What is GMO? That is grown all over the world. Mostly genetically modified organisms are grown, developed. The developing country like this USA and America, they are already control of this GMO. Nowadays, this India, Africa, and Asia also some development of this genetic engineering process takes place, and this can be developing in a developing country also. So see, this is the examples where genetic crops has been commercialized. So cauliflower, so this maize, papaya, cucumber, all the things variety which are already they have commercialized this due to the efficiency of this production yield and disease resistance variety and all these things. See, this is examples: potato, innovate and conventional. Like tomato, the traditional potato which can be easily disposed within a 15 days or within a month. But after this genetically modified tomato potato, the shelf life is more 2 months, 3 months, 5 months. That can also without dispose that can be kept in your home. Citric apple. Apple are normally sweet. Vitamin C is not there in apple, but citric apple, the vitamin C and the vitamins are more in presence by this genetically modified apple. So 90% of the American cheese are made with this ingredient. See this cheese, butter cheese, which can be also made by this utilizing of the genetically modified yeast and all these things. So nowadays, the developed country which are mostly dependent on this GMO, genetically modified organisms, and simultaneously we already discussed different types of consequences are there. So this is all about this GMO. Then if you have any questions, then you can ask. Otherwise,
So,
hmm,
so can you upload the material because we have exams next week? So,
material. Okay. Pankaj sir are uploaded or creating some groups like Google Classroom, or how can you get material from other teachers?
means Shanta ma'am is going to send. So we haven't received any yet.
Okay. So PULMS, you do not have to receive any materials. Actually, we are having a link with PULMS, and we are uploading there. Okay, no problem.
Okay,
We
sir.
can share the material before these examinations, internal examinations. I will create some Google Classroom and upload it. Okay, I will provide in your uh, group.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So this hydrogen energy, biomass and biofuel and synthetic biology. Up to that, your midsem 15 mark from unit 3, I have already said. And from unit 1, Pankaj has said 15 marks. Total 30 mark MCQ are there. 16th of there is first exam is this from energy sources. Some people
Okay,
sir
sir.
complain about your internal or something like that. It's merging with that date. Is that right?
Yes, sir. We have external exams going on during that time.
What it is night 8:30 to 9. So at that time no other exam or
Yes,
something.
sir.
Or so do not
No,
afraid.
sir.
This is simple questions are there. For examples, I just say one example from the biofuel like that or biomass. So examples come like that. What is the composition of the natural gases, or what is the composition of the gobar gases? This is simple example. So I already told that gobar gas is consisting of mostly methane gases, carbon monoxide gases, carbon dioxide gases, and nitrogen gases. So mostly methane gas is the prominent gas in the gobar gas. Simple thing. Why give just one example like that? So simple questions are there. So do not have some more stress on this. Just read out whatever material is. Once you have to read out, it is okay for you.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So any doubt today's class? GMO, synthetic biology. You are from biology background, na?
Yes, sir.
Then it is easy for you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's stop here today.
Thank you, sir.